5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
2021 officially marks the 49th season of the World Rally Championship, making WRC 10's 50th anniversary content a fraction premature. Of course, after nearly 2 years of total turmoil, it's hard to blame anyone for wanting to celebrate their birthday early, the World Rally Championship included. To mark the moment, WRC 10 arrives armed with the most retro content to grace developer KT Racing's series so far, with a new mode featuring cars and stages representing 5 decades of rally racing history. Combined with a deep career mode, the result is the spiciest and arguably the strongest official WRC game to date. Though that's a narrow victory since it hasn't changed dramatically since the already very good WRC 8 and WRC 9, and it's still making some of the same minor mistakes. That big 50th anniversary mode is an important part of this year's game, and it's by far the biggest injection of historical content to the series since KT Racing started adding classic cars in WRC 8. With its own separate menu and period photography, it does feel quite special at first, although there's ultimately not really a great deal to it. They're just a small collection of time trials with a little bit of text to explain the historical context of what you're about to do. One significant issue that some may have with the anniversary races is that the time requirements don't scale with the global difficulty setting. Inexperienced racers can dial down the intensity of their career in quick race difficulty, but at the time of review, anniversary mode cannot be changed. I thought I was cruising when I notched up the first 2 events on my first attempts, but that changed on the extremely tough 3rd event, which is actually the 5th event because, confusingly, the 3rd and 4th events got skipped and remained unavailable. At least a couple of the time requirements I've subsequently encountered in this mode so far have been surprisingly stiff, certainly severe enough for less experienced racers to bounce right off this mode entirely. It seems strange for WRC 10 to cater for new and novice players with a variety of settings, driver aids and tutorials, but opt for a hardcore one-size-fits-all approach for the marquee anniversary mode.
Right 580.
The good news for anyone stumped by the taxing time limits in anniversary mode is that all these cars and the historical stages can be used in identical fashion in quick play without any such pressure. WRC 10 allows us to put any car on any stage, historical or modern. The older historical stages are a fun addition because KT Racing has stripped out the contemporary advertising and safety features of the modern stages and replaced them with crowds of more period-authentic spectators, many of whom are poised dangerously close to the roadside. WRC 10's old-school crowds aren't anywhere near as thick as they were in the heyday of Group B Bedlam, but they definitely contain a few folks whose lifelong dream is to be killed by a rally car. Things obviously don't get that grim, but the often cramped crowds do make the historical stages a compelling challenge because just the tiniest touch to a stupid spectator will instantly respawn you on track with a stiff penalty. KT Racing has done very well selecting a range of rally cars that really matter, and a lot of World Championship winning cars are represented. The Classics garage stretches from the Alpine A110, the winner of the first WRC in 1973, all the way to Oitanak's 2019 Toyota Yaris, which famously ended 15 years of the championship being won by blokes called Sebastian. There's plenty of iconic metal in between too, like a pair of fire-breathing Audi Quattros, several Lancias, including the mighty Integrale, the Peugeot 205, the Toyota Celica and 99 Corolla, the 2007 Ford Focus RS, the Volkswagen Polo R, and a handful of successful Citroens. Colin McRae's 1997 Subaru Impreza and Tommy Mackinnon's 1998 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 are 2 other legends you may have access to, but as of launch, they're currently tied up as either console pre-order incentives or deluxe edition content. Boo! Broadly speaking, however, it's a very good spectrum of both drivers and manufacturers' championship-winning cars. There aren't too many major winning models missing.
Right 4, keep into left 3 short into right 4.
Annoyingly, WRC 10 instantly makes one of WRC 9's more irksome missteps, which is demanding that everybody begins the career mode in either the WRC Junior or WRC 3 series, with no way for those of us who've done a few laps already to skip past these feeder series and get straight into the main WRC Championship. I get that climbing the motorsport ladder is a natural part of a career mode process, but it just feels a little punitive to make the faithful redo it every year. I suspect I would have had more patience for it had WRC 10 let me dive straight into the new private team career option, which lets you build your own race team and buy and design your own team car with the welcome new livery editor. But KT Racing has locked the most interesting new element of WRC 10's career mode behind the completion of Anniversary Mode, which I don't get. On top of that, the baffling bonus objectives have survived another iteration without being kicked to the curb, meaning you'll still need to put up with your manufacturer suggesting daft things like, "Don't use hard tyres for this rally," which slightly undermines the interesting new tyre strategy layer KT Racing has inserted this time around. Not only must we choose a stockpile of tyre types to take into each rally, but tyres can even be cross-mounted if you want to experiment and potentially discover some extra speed on drastically mixed surface stages. Opting to complete the new shakedown before each rally will also give you 4 additional tyres in your stash. You can name your co-driver this year, which is a fun touch, and KT Racing has added both an English language female co-driver and a range of extra co-driver chatter for a bit more flavour out on stages. They probably could have done with a wider range of comments because they get repetitive quickly, and they're not always correct.
Try to stay on the track.
We are on the track, we're just facing the wrong direction. But I quite admire WRC 10's ability to get a rise out of me.
Seems a bit optimistic.
Shut up, don't tell me how to drive. If you find it irritating, the so-called immersive voice can be toggled off. There's definitely been work on car audio this year too. It sounds denser, and I've encountered none of the volume bugs I ran into in WRC 9. I did find at least one new bug though. Hey, you did say caution tree inside. WRC 10 includes the new Estonian and Croatian rallies, but there are a few rallies missing from the roster. The last-minute Arctic rally won't be featured, the cancelled Rally Sweden remains in WRC 10 in its place. But KT Racing has explained that Belgium and the modern Greek stages will follow after launch. I think Estonia is the highlight of the new rallies so far, with its fast, dusty stages and lush and gorgeous colour palette. It's also a gravel rally, which I prefer over tarmac rallies, as it's the type of looser driving I enjoy. There have been some changes to the handling this year, and I find the better sense of consistent momentum while sliding cars on the throttle quite satisfying. It also feels more challenging to make very small steering adjustments at high speed on a controller, and it does quite a good job of letting you know when you have the wrong tyres on. KT Racing's stage design remains fabulous, although it's a shame so much of its excellent work from WRC 8 and WRC 9 has been dropped thanks to calendar changes. There is actually an extra tab for bonus rallies, which I excitedly thought may have been KT Racing's way of including rallies from the last couple of games that aren't being run in 2021, like Poland, Germany, Mexico, Turkey, or Australia, but that tab is inaccessible, so instead I'm just confused.
Caution, big jump, 200.
WRC 10 is a great rally game and a lovely, if a fraction flawed, ode to the 49-year history of the World Rally Championship. The end result isn't streets ahead of the already impressive WRC 9, and it's still making some of the ladder's minor mistakes, but WRC 10 is another successful example of KT Racing's commitment to fantastic stage design and frantic, fast-paced, and occasionally unforgiving fun. For more on motorsport, check out IGN's review of F1 2021 and our first look at NASCAR 21. For everything else, stay on IGN.
Into hairpin right, opens. For caution, big jump into left 5, tightens 4. This might hurt.